there, YouTube. This is Vargas XX78 with another Tales from the Vargas Vault. It's actually been a long while since I recorded one of these, but the purpose of these Vargas Vaults videos is that I like to showcase something particular in the vault. A collection of something that I've amassed through the years that I think is interesting and, worth sharing. So, in this occasion, I wanted to share with you my Nicolas Cage DVD collection. Now, Nicolas Cage is one of those actors that it's kind of hard to collect for because he starred in so many movies that his filmography is like almost 100 movies strong. And finding all of those movies is where it really gets hard. It really gets hard to find all of these and, either at a good price or because they don't exist on DVD. And the other thing is that Nicolas Cage is still pumping out movies because he has had a bunch of legal problems with the IRS. He has basically had to accept any job that's offered to him so he can, get rid of his monetary problems. But so that has led him to pump out a bunch of movies these last years. And not all of them have been good. Others, he's interested in the project, so he does freak out, as is his, his acting ways. There's a thing that I enjoy about Nicolas Cage. When he wants to act well, he does so. Leaving Las Vegas is a great example. He is amazing in Leaving Las Vegas. So much so that he won an Oscar for that. And when he wants to just be batshit crazy, he can be batshit crazy, like in Vampire's Kiss. That movie is the best example of a Nicolas Cage freak out. It's a movie that you've seen referenced a bunch of times, and there's all these memes about it. So yeah, I like collecting for Nicolas Cage because, again, you might get a really awesome performance, and you might get a really lame performance. So it's a surprise to, see Nic Cage and what it'll come up with. So yeah, this is my Nicolas Cage collection. First off, I actually didn't organize them as well as I should have, but first off, since I'm a fan of comic books, I'll talk about Ghost Rider. This is Ghost Rider. Nicolas Cage, for a long time, even his name, Cage, is based on a comic book character. But Nicolas Cage, for a long time, has wanted to do a comic book movie. Back in the 90s, there was a lot of talk of him doing a Superman movie, which never finalized. But his chance finally came with Ghost Rider. Marvel was, well, not Marvel directly, but movie studios were pumping Marvel characters in movies ever since Blade. So they were picking up a lot of properties, and one of those that, seemed like a good fit was Ghost Rider. Nicolas Cage was good in it, but his performance in this is questionable because he does a really bizarre southern accent that doesn't quite fit with the Johnny Blaze character. But Ghost Rider, visually, Ghost Rider is amazing. They have this really cool scene where Ghost Rider is riding along with a cowboy Ghost Rider who's a previous Ghost Rider. And that scene is awesome. That scene is really cool. But any scene with Ghost Rider is awesome. He's not my favorite Marvel character, but visually he's the best designed one. I mean, you got a biker riding on a motorcycle filled with flames, and his skull face is in flames as well. Visually, Ghost Rider is really cool. And this movie is following the character of Johnny Blaze. Wait, no, Johnny Blaze is... Well, I think I got the names confused. Because isn't Johnny Blaze from Mortal Kombat? No, yeah, it is Johnny Blaze. I knew it was Johnny Blaze. I don't know why I was thinking of Mortal Kombat. But Johnny Blaze makes a deal with the devil, Mephistopheles, to save his father's life. But his father, who had cancer, still dies during a stunt. So basically that was pointless. But he goes around in this movie. He's the kind of like the devil's bounty hunter, and Mephistopheles unleashes the Ghost Rider on his son Blackheart, who wants to get his hands on this scroll that has like 1,000 souls or something like that. Like I said, visually, Ghost Rider, very well done. The Nic Cage performance, again, is weird. It also stars Eva Mendes, but I'm not really big into Eva Mendes. So all in all, it's not bad. It's not the worst superhero movie, but it has some things that might have been fixed. And they did another sequel called Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance, and this one's a little harder to follow. Ghost Rider is still awesome. He still visually looks pretty cool. They let Nicolas Cage, he drops the southern accent, and they leave Nicolas Cage be batshit crazy, which works very well. But the structure of the movie is not that good. It has these very weird jump cuts, and the story, it doesn't really make that much sense. So it improves certain things, but it fails in so many others. So yeah, Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance is also stuck with in this weird place. I actually don't keep these two movies in my Nicolas Cage pile. I have these separate in my comic book. I have a separate collection for comic book based movies, but because this is Nic Cage centric, I wanted to pull that out. I'm also one of those weird. I actually haven't opened this one, but I like to, when I buy a new movie, keep the plastic. I very carefully open it from. Actually, this open. I very carefully like to open the bottom and pull the movie out. I'm weird that way. Like I said, I didn't organize these at all, but I have here Honeymoon in Vegas. It's a Nicolas Cage movie, very early on, as far as I remember, starring him, James Caan, and Sarah Jessica Parker. You could really tell the difference between Sarah Jessica Parker as she is now and as she was back then. But it's a not Nicolas Cage's best movies, honestly. Also got Peggy Sue Got Married. This is a very interesting time travel movie. Peggy Sue is this person that regrets her current life because she got pregnant very young and she missed out on a lot of things. So one night she wishes that she could go back and change it, and she does. She does go back in time and is given the opportunity to change it. And it stars Nicolas Cage. Jim Carrey is in this, and I think Helen Hunt. So Kathleen Turner is the main character here. So yeah, it's a very good and interesting time travel movie. A lot of movies that I've seen are kids that wish they are grown up, so they flash forward. I don't remember that many movies where you have a character flash back, where they go back in time and have a chance to relive things. This is a Disney Nicolas Cage movie. He has a couple of these. And this is The Sorcerer's Apprentice, where Nicolas Cage is trying to teach this kid, played by Jay Baruchel, to accept that he has magic powers, and he tries to teach him. While Dr. Octopus, it's not his name, but the guy that played Dr. Octopus wants to take him out. What is the name of the Dr. Octopus guy? Alfred Molina. Alfred Molina is the bad guy in this, and Disney didn't allow Nicolas Cage to work that much. He does have some good moments, but honestly, it's not his best performance. Here we have Snake Eyes, where Nicolas Cage is this detective that has to solve a case during a championship boxing match. Nicolas Cage is really good in this one. He has some really cool moments, and where he wigs out, and I like this movie. I like this movie a lot. Nicolas Cage is good in this one. So yeah, then I have this one, Moonstruck, which I didn't know Nicolas Cage was part of. Every single copy I've seen of this movie has Nicolas Cage nowhere in the cover. It's like this. You see Chair in that position in front of the moon, and you see Chair Moonstruck. This copy, I think I might have mentioned it in the pickup video, has Nicolas Cage photoshopped there, and his name there. I'm guessing this edition might have released after he won his Oscar, so they were like, oh, we gotta bank on him winning the Oscar, so they put him there. But that's really Cher's performance here. Nicolas Cage is just there. This movie I didn't even know existed It's Amos and Andrew, starring Nicolas Cage and Samuel L. Jackson. I haven't seen this movie still, and I didn't know it existed. Um, but yeah, it stars Samuel L. Jackson. Just by reading the back here, Samuel L. Jackson is this writer that is making good money, and he goes to live in this fancy part of town. But the cops, being racist that they are, feel that this guy just came in there to steal stuff. So they drive him out, but then they realize their mistake, so they send Nicolas Cage to take the fall, and then these two guys kind of team up. Haven't seen it. I don't know if this movie is good. I mean, it has Nicolas Cage and Samuel L. Jackson, so I'm hoping it's good, but I still actually have to sit down and watch that. Next movie I have here is Knowing. Nicolas Cage, his performance is kind of like in a watered down Wicker Man. He's this guy that finds a code that predicts natural disasters, so he's trying to warn people, but no one believes him until stuff starts happening. And then at the end, I think aliens are involved. It's been a while since I watched this movie. But I don't know, I always get this one confused with Next. In that one, he's sort of like a low budget psychic, where he can't really see that far into the future. He can kind of see like a couple of minutes or hours, something like that. I'm still missing Next actually, but this was Knowing. And I have Con Air, where Nicolas Cage is in this prison transport plane, where it's the day he's going to be released, but that's the same day that this criminal wants to escape prison, and he hijacks the plane. So it's basically like Die Hard on a plane, where Nicolas Cage has to bring this guy in and stop him. He's a criminal, but he turns out being the anti-hero, good guy. So yeah, it is what it is, but yeah. Here we have Matchstick Men. This movie is really cool for Nicolas Cage and Sam Rockwell. I've seen this movie a couple of times. I haven't seen it again since I bought it on DVD, but Nicolas Cage is good in this. This is the Nicolas Cage I like to see. Well, one of the two Nicolas Cage I like to see. The freak out Nicolas Cage. Most memorable scene is where, again, you've probably seen the scene in all those YouTube videos that have the Nicolas Cage freak out, but it's where he's trying to buy medication at a pharmacy and he screams at this guy. Just a really, really cool performance, and Sam Rockwell also does a really good performance. It's a good movie. I'd recommend that. One of his newer movies, Nicolas Cage in Rage, and you can tell it's a newer movie because Nicolas Cage doesn't look that well there. But it's about this guy that I think he had ties with the mob. I haven't seen it, but he has ties with the mob, and then his daughter gets kidnapped, so he brings together his posse to try to track them down, and it's kind of like 8mm actually, where he's trying to figure out who took his daughter, if it's a random case of mistaken identity that his daughter got taken, or not to be confused with the Liam Neeson movie Taken, but if she was abducted because of that, or if it's like a payback for something that he did. It's an interesting movie. I do like, and then looking forward to watching this, but I've heard good things about this movie. I have Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans. This is a good Nicolas Cage movie. He has some really, really cool freak out moments, and most memorable one is where he's doing coke with this drug dealer. Then they shoot someone, and he's like hallucinating, and he's like, shoot him again, his soul is still dancing. And then they show the soul still dancing, so they shoot him again. And I like this movie. I've seen this movie, and I like this a lot. And once again, reunited with Eva Mendes from Ghost Rider. So yeah, recommend that one. Another movie I recommend is Drive Angry. I've seen this one, and because a lot of these movies, at least the more recent movies, I haven't actually had a chance to sit down because life gets in the way. But this one I've seen, and this one Nicolas Cage breaks out of hell, and he has this kind of like Ghost Rider. He has this bounty hunter after him, but he goes around killing people and to get revenge. It's a great movie. It's fast paced. It's action packed. Nicolas Cage is amazing in this. The special effects are cool. I actually do, and I am sorry that I didn't get to see this in 3D because I've heard that the 3D in this is amazing. So this is a really, really good movie. Next one here we have Bangkok Dangerous, which is actually a remake of an Asian film. I've heard nothing good about this. I haven't actually had a chance to sit down and watch it, but yeah, it's a remake of an Asian movie, so that can't be too good. Picked up Lord of War a while back, and this is the 2-disc special edition. Lord of War, I've seen a whole bunch of editions. I've seen a regular 1-disc edition, this 2-disc special edition, and I've seen another edition that has this really interesting chrome cover. So I have no idea how many editions of Lord of War there are. But this one was pretty cool. Nicolas Cage is this arms dealer, and he's amazing in this. I like this one a lot. He's like a jerky Nicolas Cage. This is pretty cool. Then we have here Wind Talkers, which is a war movie for Nic Cage. Not that good. I have seen this one, and it's not that good. His performance is really, really tamed. He tries to go for a dramatic thing, but it doesn't quite work out. This one, I'm honest, I haven't seen it. It's The Weatherman. Have no idea what it's about, if I'm honest with you. So yeah. I'm going to start with the first one, National Treasure. The first National Treasure, another Disney outing. This one was pretty good. Nicolas Cage is good in this. He does give a good performance. And it's basically like Indiana Jones. And in this one, if I don't have them mixed up, they go after the Templar treasure. The Templars are, of course, people that were going after the Holy Grail. And supposedly they discovered this great treasure. And so Nicolas Cage, who plays like this sort of jerk Indiana Jones, or a very hyper Indiana Jones, gets his crew together and they want to go and search for it. But of course, people want to stop them, or they want to take advantage of that and steal the treasure. This one was really good. Then you have a sequel, since it did so well, another Disney outing, Nicolas Cage and National Treasure 2, Book of Secrets. Also very good. I enjoyed this one. They kind of loosen him up a bit because he has that freak out scene in London. So this one was pretty good. And this one has this nice metallic look cover. And then this one they're going after the treasure of El Dorado. So I like this one. This one was pretty cool. This one I've also seen a number of times, and it's Nicolas Cage and Meg Ryan in City of Angels. This is, I found out much later on, is a remake of a French movie, but I didn't know that at the time. It's a very interesting look at angels and the afterlife and so on. But I do feel to this day that this movie has a really downer ending. Because supposedly I've heard a lot of people mention that it's a message. It's better to have lived, and it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. And you get to appreciate, and what was someone told me, you get to appreciate the moments that you shared with someone, and not dwell so much on the fact that they're dead. But honestly, I don't enjoy the ending to this movie that much, because Nicolas Cage is an angel that falls in love with Meg Ryan. So he forsakes his divinity to come to Earth, to meet her, to be with her, and then, a spoiler alert, she dies. So Nic Cage was like, whoa, I'm no longer an angel, and I no longer have her, so, doh. So yeah, I always find that ending annoying. Then I have The Family Man, which is kind of like It's a Wonderful Life. Nicolas Cage is the successful businessman that he's a jerk, and one day he meets someone that says your life is gonna change, and it does. He wakes up with a family, a wife, a horrible job, and he's like, "What the hell's going on? I want my own life back." Basically, it's how his life would have turned out if he would have gone left instead of right. I personally enjoy this movie a lot. It has Nicolas Cage freakouts, but it has some really good, tender moments with his family. So I enjoy this movie quite a bit. This one I haven't actually had a chance to see. I've heard good things about it, but I was never able to find it on DVD until recently, and I have to actually sit down and watch it. As I have to sit down and watch a bunch of these, but I've heard nothing but good things about this movie. It's Nicolas Cage is this paramedic that he's starting to go crazy because he can't save anyone. So it follows his life in 3 days, three different partners. This is the one I really want to sit down and watch because I've heard nothing but good things from both Nicolas Cage's performance and the movie itself. And here we have Gone in 60 Seconds. This is a heist movie where someone blackmails Nicolas Cage into stealing a bunch of cars, and it has Angelina Jolie still rocking the crazy look from Girl Interrupted. This is a fun movie. It's not my favorite Nicolas Cage movie, but it's a fun movie nonetheless. The action is good, and Angelina Jolie and Nic Cage are good in it. Here we have Nicolas Cage in The Wicker Man, and if you're going to buy a copy of The Wicker Man, make sure you have the alternate uncut version. Actually, now that I mention it, I don't know if this one is the uncut version. And it's upside down. Well, if you want to enjoy the experience more, make sure you get the uncut or unrated version of The Wicker Man. Because that one has the often talked about scene with the bees, like, oh no, oh god, the bees, they're in my eyes, just ridiculous. And it has Nicolas Cage running around in a bear suit and punching a woman, and he does that a lot in this movie. It's not a good movie, but it, like a lot of people have said, but it is just mesmerizing at how ridiculous it is. But it's one of those so bad it's good movies. Yeah. This is my favorite Nicolas Cage movie. This is Nicolas Cage and Travolta in Face Off. The premise is ridiculous, where John Travolta is this cop that has to bring down Nicolas Cage from setting off a bomb. So he captures them, but Nicolas Cage is in a coma. So the police force are like, well, there's only one way to find out where the bomb is, and that's by talking to his brother. But Cage is in the coma. So what we're gonna do is that we're going to switch faces. They put Nicolas Cage's face into John Travolta so that he could, go into prison and to intercept the gang and stuff. And then Nicolas Cage wakes up, so he has the procedure reversed. So yeah, it starts off, John Travolta is the good guy, Nicolas Cage is the bad guy. Then it does the switch, so Nicolas Cage is the good guy and John Travolta is the bad guy. Like I said, the premise is ridiculous, but it is such an amazing action movie. And both Nicolas Cage and John Travolta give really, really memorable performances when they're evil. So this is by far my favorite Nicolas Cage movie. I love that movie. Next up, we have 8 millimeters. 8 millimeters. This is a thriller starring Nicolas Cage. It's a good movie. Sometimes it's a very disturbing movie, but that's the appeal. I heard there's a sequel of this, but Nicolas Cage is not involved in any way. But I've never seen that one. But this one's a good thriller. I do recommend that one. My second favorite Nicolas Cage movie is The Rock, starring Sean Connery. This is a good action movie. Not as good as this, but it's still fun. It doesn't have Nicolas Cage freakouts. He has a very, very good performance in this, along with Sean Connery. Ed Harris is great. I wish he was in more stuff. Ed Harris is amazing in anything that he's in. But it's basically Ed Harris steals this bioweapon, and he threatens the government to, if they don't do what he says, he's going to release the bioweapon. So he holds up in Alcatraz. So they get the only criminal that has ever escaped from Alcatraz, who's played by Sean Connery, and Nicolas Cage, who's an expert in bioweapons, to infiltrate Alcatraz and stop Ed Harris. It's a good movie. I like this one. Like I said, favorite one is Face Off, but this is my second favorite movie. This is one of my wife's favorite movies. This It Could Happen to You. Nicolas Cage is this cop who buys a lottery ticket. And he meets up with this waitress, and he promised her that, as a tip, if he wins the lottery, he'll give her half. Which upsets Nicolas Cage's wife in this, who's just this money-hungry, horrible person. But it's a good movie. I have watched this a couple of times. My wife likes this one a lot. And it's fun. I would definitely recommend this movie. The next one is Trapped in Paradise. It's a comedy with John Lovitz and Dana Carvey from Wayne's World, and basically it's these three criminals that do a job, and then they have to hold on. They hold on in this town where they're not adapting that well. It's not that good. Here we have Vampire's Kiss, a very, very quotable movie that you've probably seen memes and you didn't even know it was from this movie. But this is my favorite Nicolas Cage freak out performance. It is. I've heard a lot of people say this, and I'll say it as well. It's mesmerizing to see how Nicolas Cage give this performance. It's just batshit crazy, even though it's with vampires, but it's just batshit crazy, and this movie has given birth to so many memes, and if you look again for Nicolas Cage freak out videos, you'll see a bunch of scenes just from this movie. The movie is not that good, but it's watchable just because of him. Like in The Wicker Man, he just like goes all out, and it's something truly amazing to see. And the last movie I have for Nicolas Cage is Racing Arizona. Nicolas Cage is this criminal that falls in love with a cop, but when they can't have kids, he steals a kid from a millionaire that had like 8. So he's like, well, he has 8, he's not going to miss one. It's a good movie. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this thing was directed by the Coens. Yeah, it is the Coens. So yeah, it's a good movie. Again, not as good as my top 3, but still, I would recommend it. So yeah, that was my Nic Cage collection. Like I said, Nicolas Cage has starred in so many movies. It's really hard to collect for him, because there's some movies I didn't even know he was in, like this, like the Samuel L. Jackson movie. No idea he was in that. Same thing with Moonstruck. So you really come across some movies that are a surprise that he was in, or they're a part of his filmography. Because every time I check up to see, what I have and what I'm missing, I come across some new movie that he did or some old movie that he starred in. So yeah, but my favorite ones are Face Off, The Rock, and Vampire's Kiss. Followed closely by, I don't have it at hand, The Wicker Man. Where's The Wicker Man? Oh, there's The Wicker Man. The Wicker Man, and I'm missing, like I said, a whole bunch of movies, but I'm actively hunting down for Leaving Las Vegas. Leaving Las Vegas is the one where he won his Oscar, and I've never been able to find that movie, but that one is one I'm actively hunting. And then he has another movie, another dramatic movie that a lot of people say is good, but I've never seen, Adaptation. Everyone says that, or everyone that I know that has seen that movie says that Nicolas Cage is awesome in that, so I need to pick that one up. And the other one I'm hunting down for actively is Season of the Witch. I've heard nothing but bad things about that, but I still want to get it because Ron Perlman co-stars with Nic Cage, and that seems like an awesome combination. Ron Perlman and Nic Cage in a movie. That's gold for me. So yeah, I'm actively hunting down those 3 movies. So plus whatever other movie I come across. But yeah, it's not a complete filmography. It is what it is, and I'm still working on getting the ones that I want. But I'm proud of my Nic Cage collection. He's an actor that's very memorable. He's starred in so much crap, but he's also starred in some really, really good movies. So yeah, just wanted to share that with you. I'll probably do another actor-specific collection somewhere down the line. But until then, thanks so much for watching, and until I see you again, this is Vargas XX78, thanking you and signing out.